Hi everyone, this is Natalie Leibrecht speaking. Thanks for attending today's webinar introducing Alyza IQ PO4, our new wet chemistry analyzer for monitoring orthophosphate. Everyone here at Xylem Analytics is really excited to launch the new analyzer, as this platform really is a major step forward in instrumentation development and technology. We used our decades of experience in developing wet chemical analyzers to develop a new generation of analyzers that require minimal maintenance and no expensive service contracts. The result is an analyzer that is easy to use, requires minimal manual effort, yet provides highly accurate measurement, accuracy that is even better than the lab blue standard method. With the Alyza, it will be easier than ever to get reliable, highly accurate data from proven analytical methods without the disadvantages of traditional wet chemical analyzers. First of all, before I start talking in detail about the analyzer, I would like to give a quick introduction to myself. I'm the process segment manager and thus head of product management and marketing for the process instrumentation of the European brands like MJK and WTW. In addition, I'm proud to be the product manager for the new analyzer platform. Based in Weilheim in Germany, I'm with Xylem since 6.5 years. And last but not least, my background is biochemistry, so treatment plant processes and detection methods are my nature. Before we go further into discussing the details of Alyza, I would like to provide a quick overview of the IQ SensorNet. IQ SensorNet is a network of sensors specifically designed to continuously monitor the most important parameters within a wastewater treatment plant or in surface water bodies. Here is a graphic representing the municipal treatment process and how IQ SensorNet can be deployed throughout the facility to monitor water quality. The main purpose of continuously monitoring your treatment process is to ensure you are meeting your treatment goals while optimizing your process to run as efficiently as possible. This includes monitoring of early warning of changes to the process or to help detect upset conditions, monitoring to ensure you are meeting compliance, and monitoring to automatically control your treatment process based on the real-time water quality measurement data. IQ SensorNet can be deployed throughout the treatment process from inlet to the biological tank to clarifiers and effluent stages, as well as tertiary treatment stages and even micropollutant removal. The Alyza platform is the newest addition to the IQ SensorNet family. It can be integrated into a new or existing IQ SensorNet system or can be used as a standalone analyzer so that maximum flexibility is given for your applications. Let's focus now on the new analyzer, Alyza IQ. Alyza IQ is a completely new wet chemical analyzer platform. This year, we are launching the first two analyzers, one for measuring orthophosphate and one for measuring ammonium. As the ammonium one will be released in November, this webinar will focus on the Alyza IQ orthophosphate. All Alyzas include a climate control package that provides an ambient temperature operating range of -20 up to 40 degrees Celsius and are thus perfectly suited for on-site deployment. That leads to short distances between the filter and the analyzer and thus data without a time delay. So you really have real-time data for process monitoring and control. The new analyzer will be available as either a one-channel version or a two-channel option. This opens up the possibility to measure two sample streams at once. For example, before and after the phosphate precipitation, or if you have two bio-P tanks, you can measure in two tanks in parallel. You can always upgrade in one channel to a two-channel version by simply adding an additional overflow vessel and a filtration pump. Now, I would like to review some of the main components of the new analyzer, in this case a two-channel version. I'll just take the direction of the sample flow now. These are the two filtration pumps with individual pressure sensors. The results of these sensors can be used to check if a cleaning of the filter is required or if the sample tubing might be clogged. Here you see the two overflow vessels. They are designed by us and made clear so that you can visually inspect it for bubbles or any solids buildup, and it can be easily removed and cleaned. This is the wet chemical unit. It is insulated and has a constant inner temperature of 20 degrees Celsius for optimized performance and reagent lifetime. Now let's see what's inside. Here's the location of the multiport valve, the heart of the analyzer. More on that later. This is the location of the so-called chem bags, which contain the reagents. I'll come to them in a few minutes. And last but not least, the photometric unit, which is in a temperature-controlled compartment at 45 degrees Celsius to help speed up the reaction and increase the measurement accuracy and stability. Now let's go over to the unique components, the multiport valve and the chem bags. Here you see the multiport valve, which is the core part of the analyzer. Within this unit, the sample transport, degassing, and mixing takes place. Thanks to this component, the solution consumption of Alyza is extremely low. For example, the orthophosphate unit uses 5 microliter of reagent per measurement, which means it is using less than 1 milliliter per day with a 10 minutes measuring interval. So where is the multiport valve located within the analyzer? As mentioned before, it is part of the wet chemical unit and installed in a special holder. The multiport valve can be easily accessed as shown here. Designed as the main spare part of the new analyzer with a long lifetime, it will need to be replaced only once per year. In addition, as this is a spare part, this guarantees always reliable and extremely accurate measurement values without wear-out effects. And as I always mention, the exchange is as simple as a coffee pad machine. So just open the holder, remove the old one, insert a new one, close the holder, and just start the measurement. For our new analyzer platform, we're using, instead of conventional reagent containers, bags to hold the chemical solution. With a total volume lower than 200 milliliters, they can be easily stored and transported worldwide. With a unique connector specifically designed for the new analyzer, the reagents can be exchanged easily and error-free. The connector is automatically opened and closed so that you never get in contact with the chemicals and you don't have to worry about spilling solution bottles. So maximum safety for the customer and you is given. Thanks to the disruptive multiport valve, and thus the extremely low reagent consumption, the exchange is only needed once per 6 months at a 10 minutes interval. So the bags are just installed, 6 months no contact, and after 6 months just remove the old one and add a new bag. With reagent bottles, you always have the risk of contaminations and fouling of the reagents. Thanks to the new chem bags, this belongs to the past. The solutions required for the Alyza are reagents, standard solutions, and cleaning solutions. I'll talk about the reagents in a few slides. We just now reviewed 2 of the most important features of the Alyza, the multiport valve and the chem bags, and already mentioned some of the benefits. Now I would like to give you some more insight into the enhancements and thus benefits of this new analyzer technology. As I keep mentioning, the reagent consumption of Alyza IQ is really extremely low. Here you see a comparison of all 3 WTW analyzer generations shown per day with a 10 minutes interval. Released in 1999, so exactly 20 years ago, the Trescom platform was a state-of-the-art technology with a pioneering modularity. The reagent consumption was more than 60 milliliters per day. The next generation, the P700 IQ, released in 2013, already had a significant decrease down to 12 milliliters per day. Alyza IQ now, 20 years after the release of Trescom, finally reduces the reagent consumptions again significantly, resulting in 0.75 milliliters reagent per day. This also results in a dramatic decrease in chemical-containing liquid waste. I'll come to that now. Here you see the chemical-containing waste volume of all three analyzer generations. That means the waste after the photometric unit. With Alyza IQ reducing this waste more than 90% compared to the predecessors Trescon and P700, and also to other traditional analyzers available in the market. In addition, traditional wet chemical analyzers don't have the option to separate chemical waste from the overflow, and thus the liquid waste amount is even higher. Fortunately, the Alyza IQ platform offers an optional waste collection system to only collect what is obligatory, resulting in a further operating cost reduction where charge disposal is mandatory. So again, you have the maximum flexibility to just set everything for your application. As you've seen so far, we have designed the Alyza so it has minimal hands-on maintenance requirements with no expensive service contract required. So we really designed it with and for you. In total, maintenance takes just 10 minutes every 6 months at a 10 minutes interval. So let's see what has to be really done. Of course, part of the regular maintenance of all wet chemical analyzers is the renewal of the reagents. Thanks to the Chembags, it is as simple as never before. Just unscrew the old one and add a new one every 6 months. As I mentioned, the main spare part is the multiport valve, which has to be exchanged every 12 months. Just open the holder, take out the old one, and replace it by a new one, and that's it. So what's left? So we also improved the tubing to minimize replacement requirements. Most of the tubing is only air or solution contacted, and also the sewage pump inside, and thus the replacement is not expected. Sample contacted tubings should last more than 1 year. We improved the material and added automatic cleaning to the tube from the overflow vessel to the multiport valve and the photometer sample tube, so that maximum durability and lifetime is given. As I keep mentioning, Alyza IQ PO4 provides highly accurate measurements. Here you see some data of a 2-channel Alyza and lab samples. You see in green the channel 1 of the analyzer before the precipitation and the channel 2 after the precipitation. And please note the very low concentrations, which are really accurately measured by the new analyzer. In comparison, in red and orange, you see the lab measurements. Thanks to the new technology, the new Alyza IQ yellow method is even more accurate than the lab photometric blue method, as you see by the standard deviation bars. As a further enhancement, we have added predictive maintenance and onboard diagnostics. The Alyza monitors the solution volumes and provides a countdown of the days remaining until you run out of solutions and need to replace it. The solution monitoring is individual to the solution, so you have a counter for the reagent, calibration solution, and cleaning solution, so you can get a complete picture of how many days of operation you have left. In addition, the multiport valve is monitored by the system and will give you a logbook notification if an exchange should take place, so that you have full transparency of the status and exchange requirements. You can also see the last measurements and the current process stage of the next measurement. In this example, the Alyza is in the mixing stage of the measurement, and it will be approximately 3 minutes until the measurement is completed and the reading is updated. In addition, it is displayed during waiting mode when the next process stage will take place. For full transparency, in addition, a detailed overview is provided for temperatures and system status within the info screen. As I mentioned, we have 3 different temperature compartments for really a complete optimization of the chemical reaction and the detection, and thus the reliable measurement. And all these compartments are controlled for the temperature, and here you see it completely transparent. Here are some more enhancements we made to Alyza, making it the most simple analyzer to operate. First, automatic cleaning and automatic 1 or 2-point calibration is implemented to ensure the analyzer provides accurate measurement with minimal human intervention. Second, the Alyza temperature control package, as mentioned before, which is added by 4 different temperature sensors, helps keep the temperature inside the unit tightly controlled. The result is really a high accuracy, especially at the low end. Third, the wet chemical unit is equipped with a status LED, so you can directly see if a process is in progress, maintenance mode is switched on, wet chemical unit can be open, or an error occurred. So again, maximum transparency. Another enhancement over the traditional analyzers is the extremely long lifetime of the photometer LED with no exchange expected. And last but not least, no optical adjustment is needed, further decreasing human intervention and increasing the accuracy of the measurement. Now that we have reviewed the common features of the Alyza platform, let's dig into the orthophosphate measurement itself. The Alyza Ortho-P unit uses the same proven method that the current P700 IQ uses. It is the yellow method. This is a robust method widely used for wastewater treatment plant applications and surface water monitoring. After passing the sample through the 0.45 micron filter, it is mixed with a reagent that causes a yellow coloration. We then pass the reacted sample to the photometer where we measure the absorbance at 400 nanometers. And then you get the concentration of orthophosphate. Unlike with the P700, we improved the detection method for Alyza IQ, leading to the new yellow method. For standard applications, reagent A is used, which is comparable to the P700 IQ reagent solution. For low concentrations or challenging sample metrics, we now offer an additional reagent, the so-called reagent B, resulting in an even higher accuracy. Here is an example of the new yellow method using reagent A and B compared to the P700 IQ measurement. The sample has a high humidic acid content, leading to a yellowish or brownish coloration itself. This leads to an overestimation of the blank measurement and thus two low measuring values clearly shown, as you can see here for the P700 IQ. Alyza IQ with only reagent A leads also to the same underestimated results. But in contrast, Alyza IQ shown here using reagent A and reagent B displays the correct measurement results. So this is a clear advantage, especially for colored media or other difficult sample matrices with mixed wastewater, for example. So again, you always have the choice. Dependent on your application, we can give you the optimum performance. Here's the specifications for the measurement. One thing is important to note. It's important to note that these are two different instrument models. So when ordering an orthophosphate unit, you need to specify which measurement range you need. If there is a need for changing the range, we can change it in the field to a different measurement range by changing out the cuvette in the photometer unit, and that's it. Now I would like to review some of the main applications. Alyza IQ orthophosphate is perfectly suited for monitoring and control of the phosphate elimination. For chemical phosphate removal, continuously monitoring of the orthophosphate level reduces precipitant costs without overdosing by reliable and fast measurement. Monitoring phosphorus at the treatment facility outlet to ensure you are compliant is another important application. And last but not least, continuous phosphate monitoring in surface water bodies like rivers is increasingly important. With the very high accuracy and reliability and stability of the measurement, even at very low concentrations down to 0.02 milligrams per liter orthophosphate, Alyza is perfectly suited for all applications. And as I mentioned, based on the concentration and demands, we have two different versions. We have the 1 or 2 channel version if you want to measure in parallel 2 sample streams, and other features for perfectly suiting your application. A well-working, easy-to-maintain filtration is of course essential for reliable measurement. Thus, we also improved our passive filter for the Alyza units. The filter material itself is more robust, and the material between the 2 filters is more rigged, making it easier to periodically clean. In addition, it has a larger surface area, so will require less frequent cleaning. So the filter expected life is greater than 1 year. We have even installed filters for over 2 to 3 and more years. The material of the housing is PVC and the membrane is just polyethylene, which is very stable and simple to maintain. Last but not least, I would like to give you a quick overview on the mounting options. Similar to the P700 IQ, you can mount Alyza at the wall, at a rail, or even use a mounting stand if none is available. What's new is here an additional mounting option for a terminal or controller directly at the analyzer. Thanks to this terminal mount, you always have a display right next to the unit. So I hope this gave you a good overview about the analyzer. If you're interested in additional Alyza info, IQ SensorNet components, or other products Xylem Analytics has to offer, you can check the website, apply for more information, or just contact us. So thanks a lot for your attention. And now I will give over to Michael.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much for your time and for that very valuable presentation. We'd now like to offer all of our listeners a chance to ask questions to Natalie. As you probably realized, everyone has been muted, but there is a question chat box on the side of your screen. If you have a question, simply type it in there and we will get to your question one by one. So we'll give you a couple minutes to answer your questions. So actually, thanks, Natalie, we already have our first question. And this individual would like to know what is the material of the metal part that's holding the multi-valve?
This is, you mean the metal part within the multi-port valve itself? It's aluminum.
Yes. It's made of aluminum.
This is what I mentioned. Yeah, and this is what I mentioned. So, of course, this was a long development as we really wanted to have a complete new technology and an optimized technology. And we have 45 people in R&D, really all working together from software to mechanical design. This multi-port valve was really optimized. So, as I mentioned, the lifetime is around a year, and that means 500,000 cycles. The valve itself is tied.
Thank you, Natalie. Our second question is, can the Alyza connect to DIQ S28?
You mean the 282, 284? Yes, that's a very good question, thanks. So this new analyzer is really suitable for the small system, I call it, so the 282, DIQ 282, 284, and also to the big 2020 system. So you have maximum flexibility. As I know, if you want, for example, a standalone analyzer, you can take the smaller system, or if you have already an existing system, so maximum flexibility.
Okay, next question. When will the Alyza be available for sale?
Good question, thanks. So we shipped the first units end of July, so it's available. So the first installation already took place, and we're now happy to ship all around the world.
Okay, next question. Why do we need to change the multi-port valve every 12 months?
So the thing is, as I mentioned, the lifetime is very long, and we had a lot of discussions, and we wanted to reduce. You saw there are almost no tubings and valves and everything. And one important, or the most important thing, of course, are reliable and accurate data. So this is why we decided to design it as a spare part, so you don't have to worry about, oh, now are my valves or tubings and wear out effects and so on. So we really avoid completely the wear out effects by exchanging it every 12 months. And as I said, normally with a traditional analyzer, you have a lot of tubings to exchange, valves, LEDs, and in that case, it's really the one multi-port valve and of course the chemical bags, and that's it.
Great, thank you. Next question. What is the lifetime of the reagent?
Good question. So the lifetime is with the storage around 20 to 25 degrees, 2 years upon production. So we guarantee the customers 1.5 year lifetime. And as I said,
and can the customer,
pardon?
Sorry, please continue.
No, and what I mentioned, if you have a 10 minutes interval, it's lasting, one bag is lasting half a year. If you have a 20 minutes interval, it's 1 year. And of course, if you have effluent or river monitoring and you have one day interval, it's even 1.5 years.
And when a customer purchases an Alyza, are there spare reagents that they can purchase? Do you feel that that's a requirement?
You could do it due to the long lifetime, but as I mentioned, you have not only a counter, but it's a measurement inside where I can go back to the slide if that's okay. So just,
please do, yes.
Yeah, I just have to go back. It's easier to show it. So, sorry, give me a second. So we have one of the status displays what you have in the new software. So maybe one word to the software. So our former analyzer, the P700, has the normal user interface for the IQ SensorNet. And what we did for the Alyza, we really optimized the software, and also there are self-diagnostics, so onboard diagnostics and everything included. So this is really full transparency. And for the reagents, as I said, you could purchase a spare one, but if you have a 20 minutes interval, it lasts 1 year, or a 10 minutes about half a year, and you will always have the transparency via the display to see when you need an exchange. So sorry, it's a little bit slow to go back. Should be here. So you see here you see the overview. So this is the optimized interface, so maintenance, the status, and the remaining. So you see reagent A lasts 78 days, so you would have to exchange it the 21st of October. Here you have no reagent B, standard solutions 41 days. So either with a long lifetime, you could buy a spare, of course, or you see always here, if it's only 30 days left, you can easily order a new one and you will get it in time. So this is up to you.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Next question. If the ambient temperature is higher than 40 degrees, what would you recommend, and what would the effect be on the Alyza itself?
So I would recommend to install it in a building. I mean, of course, there are regions, especially in Asia, where you get in summer, especially higher temperatures. And then I really would recommend to install it in a building. I mean, if you have higher temperatures over a very short period, that should be okay. But as I mentioned, you have 3 different temperature compartments with active cooling and heating. And if you go higher than 40 degrees over a longer time, could be that the temperature is then too high in the inner part, and then the reliability of the measurement is in risk.
Okay, next question. What would you recommend as the calibration frequency for the Alyza?
So what I mentioned, the exchange every 12 months of the reagent and the standard, the cleaning solution and the standard solution is a daily calibration. So that's what we recommend. Cleaning once per day, calibration once per day, that's it. And as I mentioned, you have the option of a 1 or 2 point calibration. I got questions in the past when to use the automatic 2 point calibration, what is new and unique for that analyzer. So if you're measuring at very low concentrations and you need a high accuracy, I would recommend to have an automatic 2 point calibration, but also once per day is suitable.
Is the Alyza IQ suitable for saline sewage application and chloride content around 6,000 to 8,000 milligrams per liter?
That's a good question, but this is really a limitation. So for saline water, as the material is for a certain specification also for the sample conditions. And if you have a high salinity, I would not recommend to use it.
What is the cost of MPV as percentage of price for Alyza?
As percentage per price of Alyza, I have to calculate that. I could take that offline and give the answer later.
Okay, thank you.
But it's only a very small portion of the total cost of Alyza, as one of our targets, of course, was to decrease cost of ownership for the customer.
Is the analyzer affected by corrosiveness in water or in the environment?
So we have specifications like the pH from 5 to 9, which have to be kept. So if you have a very, very acidic solution, for example, this all, of course, impacts the analyzer material. But if you stay within the specifications of our data sheet, that's fine.
Okay, if the analyzer is set to measure at an interval of 20 minutes, can the reagents last for 1 year?
Yeah. So this is what I mentioned. So the lifetime of the reagents at you as a customer is 18 months. So if you have a 20 minutes interval, it lasts 1 year. And again, you will then see, for example, this count. Just quickly, sorry, Michael. So here it's 78 days, and this is always dependent, of course, of the measuring interval of the analyzer. So if this is now 10 minutes interval, if you would have a 20 minutes interval, it would be 156 days now.
Okay, thank you, Natalie.
Please go ahead.
How is the temperature controlled in each section?
The temperature, so we have a temperature measurement in each section. And as I mentioned, we have an active heating and cooling. So when you receive the analyzer, you will see like a grid on the bottom of the analyzer, and there is a Peltier element, so a really active cooling. And this is different to the P700, where we only had an active heating and fans. And in this case, we really have both an active cooling and heating, which is tightly controlled by temperature sensors.
Right, what is the minimum measuring frequency that we need to set in order to allow for complete reaction to take place?
5 minutes is the minimum interval, and this is common to the yellow method.
And can the Alyza measure in salt water?
As I mentioned before, due to the corrodes or the salinity, I would not recommend that.
Can you estimate how much the cost for operation per year would be?
So it really depends on the measurement range, and Michael, we can take that offline and provide an overview about consumption.
Thanks, Natalie. Well, that covers all of the questions that were submitted at this point. We'll give a couple minutes more for anyone who'd like to ask any final questions.
And if you have questions afterward, just contact us, and I'm happy to answer them also as a follow-up.
Great, thank you, Natalie, for that. A couple more questions have just come in. Can we get a calibration certificate?
For the analyzer itself?
Correct.
You mean?
When it's calibrated.
Yeah, so we have a wet test for measurement. So I will check. So we don't have it now from scratch. What we have is this manufacturer certificate for the analyzer in terms of quality. And in addition, we also have certificates of quality for the reagents. So that's new compared to our former analyzer versions, which will be provided in a digital format. But I will check for calibration certificates if it's required and come back.
And is there a salinity limit that we can measure with the Alyza?
So For the normal water, you mean? So it's really dependent on the application, as I said. So around 5,000, 6,000 is too much. So we will check again and come back what is really the maximum allowed concentration.
Great. Very good questions just rolled in concerning the reagents. Is it mandatory to order via WTW, or can we order through local distributors?
So you mean the reagent themselves? So maybe two things. So the reagents cannot be produced by a local supplier itself, as it's gas-free and special combination and everything, but we have to check with our sales team in Asia Pacific how this is handled. But for sure, I guess with our local partners, they can also purchase it then there.
Okay, and with regards to reagents, again, what are the lead times for reagents and multi-port valves?
So from Weilheim, the lead time is very, very quick. So we always said from 1 or 2 days, and then they will be shipped. And as I said, we have local partners and also our teams from Xylem in Asia Pacific. And then we have to talk if we have something on stock or everything and how we can handle it. But the lead time from Weilheim itself is very short, as we really want to guarantee, of course, that you get always what you need for the analyzer.
Okay, and is the daily calibration or cleaning started by the user or automatically conducted by the machine, by the Alyza itself?
Great question, thanks. So it's an automatically cleaning and calibration. So as I mentioned, for the P700, we already introduced an automatic cleaning and an automatic 1-point calibration. But for the new Alyza, we also have an automatic 2-point calibration. So you can always choose what you need. The analyzer itself is supplied with the tubings already for the second reagent and for the second standard solution as well. They are not connected, but in case you want to add it now or in future, you can easily connect an additional one, and it's automatically. And you can freely choose the interval for cleaning and calibration. As I mean, I can mention, so one of our philosophies, of course, is to make life for the for the person in front of the analyzer as easy as possible. And orthophosphate cannot be measured by sensors up to the day, so you need a wet chemical analyzer. And with the new Alyza, we really included as many possible steps and also features to reduce manual intervention and effort.
Okay, and on the topic of cleaning solutions, what exactly is the cleaning solution for the Alyza?
Good question. So it's a chemical solution, of course, to clean in a proper way.
Okay, and a follow-up question regarding the saline solution. Is there a limitation on the component material, but not on the measuring principle?
So for the measuring principle itself, I will check again what the limitation is for the salinity, as I mentioned before. But really one important point is as well the material, as I mentioned, as you will get corrosion. So for example, for the IQ SensorNet, as an example, we have the normal sensors, which are made of stainless steel. And for salt or salinity and saltwater applications, we have the so-called seawater versions, which have a special plastic material and titanium heads. So this is really a different material as well.
Natalie, last question I have on the list is, can we use the Alyza to measure total phosphorus?
So it's orthophosphate only, but I know that in a lot of treatment plants, you have a more or less stable factor between orthophosphate and total phosphorus, so you can do the calculation in your PLC, for example, afterwards. But the analyzer itself is only PO4P or PO4, dependent on the measurement.
Great, thank you, Natalie. Could I ask you to move us in the deck in the presentation to the final slide with the contact information?
Course.
Thank you. And just for everyone's information, we have recorded this webinar, and we will be sending another email out to everyone who registered for this webinar and share the link to the video, to this video presentation. And Natalie, with your approval, of course, is it okay to share the PowerPoint in a PDF format?
Of course.
With everyone?
Of course.
Okay, great. And we've got a final question. Sorry, yep. Is there an alarm set for low reagents?
There is an alarm, yes. You will get logbook notifications. So you can choose, for example, that you get a notification if it's only 7 days left or 3 days left. So you can get a notification for that as well. Because as I said, my intention or our intention for the analyzer is also maximum transparency and support for the customer, so that you always know what's going on and you can set a logbook notification then.
Excellent. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for your time today, as well as to all of our listeners who have attended this webinar. Again, you will be receiving an email, so keep your eyes out for that. And a link will be included to both the webinar recording and this very PDF deck as well. If you have any further questions concerning the Alyza or any Xylem product, feel free to contact us at the email presented on this slide at info.apac, or you can contact Natalie directly to her email concerning any Alyza questions. Again, thank you everyone and have a fantastic day. Thank you, Natalie.
And thank you from me, thank you as well, and have all a great day. Thank you.